You speak English fluently in some situations, but then you listen to a native speaker and something clicks that you never learned about. A pattern, a structure, a way they break the rules you memorized.
And if you want to understand those patterns, subscribe to English That Works podcast. Every episode, we break down grammar tips and tricks that native speakers actually use.
So stick around. This is going to make sense.
I'm Claire, by the way.
David here. Let's dive in.
So, what's the biggest gap most learners hit at B2 level?
Inversion. You learn, I have never seen anything like it in class. But when you get to work, your boss says, never have I seen a report this detailed. Same meaning, completely different structure.
So, it's not just poetic or formal. People actually use it at work?
All the time. People say, rarely do we get feedback this honest, or only when I understood the pattern did everything click. It's not being posh. It's about emphasis.
So, most learners know the rule but never see it rearranged like that.
Then there's subjunctive. You learn, I suggest that you go. But in job interviews, people say, I suggest that he be brought into the team. Learners think it's a mistake.
Wait, employers really talk like that in actual interviews?
Constantly in formal contexts. People read company handbooks with, we require that all employees follow protocol, and think the handbook has bad grammar.
So most learners encounter it in written contexts first, not in speech.
Cleft sentences do something powerful. It was her attitude that changed everything. You're breaking a simple sentence into pieces for focus.
So you're making really clear what the actual problem was, not everything else?
Exactly. People say, what bothered me wasn't the delay. It was the lack of communication. But learners don't recognize it as a grammar structure.
They just think the person is emphasizing a point, which they are.
Participle clauses pack information densely. Having studied the previous data, the researchers found a new pattern. You see it in academic papers, and people get overwhelmed.
Is that mainly an academic writing thing, or do people use it in presentations?
Both. In a presentation, someone says, having reviewed the quarterly results, we can confidently say growth is ahead. If you're listening in real time, the density is brutal.
So, the structure isn't wrong. It's just too much to process quickly.
Nominalization is huge in professional English. In meetings, people say, the implementation of these policies will result in significant improvement. Learners are taking notes and miss the whole meaning.
Because you're waiting for verbs and actions, but everything's turned into nouns?
Right. People read a job posting that says, the coordination of teams across regions requires strong communication, and think they don't understand English anymore.
So nominalization is how professional English actually sounds, and nobody teaches it.
Complex conditionals show up in formal settings all the time. Should you need anything from our team, please reach out. People interviewing for senior roles panic thinking they missed something.
They think it's a conditional rule they forgot?
Right. Or they read, were I in your position, I would approach this differently. They spend 10 minutes figuring out the tense because the structure feels backward.
So these patterns exist everywhere in formal English, but people don't warn you they're coming.
Relative clause reduction is another one. The person who is sitting next to me becomes the person sitting next to me. Learners know the full structure, but can't understand the reduced version when they hear it.
So they're waiting for the full sentence and their brain breaks when it doesn't come?
Exactly. The grammar is the same, but the processing fails because they're expecting a different structure.
So it's understanding the rule versus recognizing it in wild.
This is what really matters. Grammar isn't just rules. You should leave. And were I in your position, I would leave mean the same thing, but communicate totally different levels of respect.
So the grammar structure itself is carrying emotional information?
Completely. When someone presents to senior management using only simple structures, they sound less confident. But when they use complex structures naturally, people listen differently.
That's the kind of thing you don't learn in textbooks.
Most B2 learners struggle with the same thing. You understand complex sentences when you read them slowly, but in conversation, subject and verb agreement gets lost in longer sentences.
Because there's too much happening at once. You're listening, processing meaning, and tracking grammar.
Exactly. And agreement mistakes in longer sentences happen to everyone at this level constantly.
Is there a fix, or is it just exposure over time?
The people who break through B2 aren't doing more grammar exercises. They're reading articles and listening to podcasts, and their brain just picks up the patterns.
So it's not about studying harder, it's about changing what they consume.
Right. Someone stops doing grammar drills and reads quality journalism every week. 6 months later, they say, I don't even notice the complex structures anymore. They just sound normal.
That's the shift, when advanced structures stop feeling foreign.
One thing that really works is listening actively. Someone hears, "Never have I heard such good advice," and writes it down. Then they analyze it.
Like actually stopping the podcast and studying what they said?
Yes, they see, oh, that's inversion for emphasis, and then they start hearing it everywhere.
That active reconstruction is probably worth more than any textbook exercise.
The B2 plateau is real. People get comfortable enough that they don't push themselves anymore. They can function fine, so they stay there.
So the comfort becomes the trap.
Exactly. But someone who decides to read academic papers for 6 months, they push through. After a while, they're understanding things they never thought possible.
They basically force their brain to work harder.
There's a confidence piece too. When someone uses complex structures naturally in an interview, inversion, cleft sentences, advanced modals, they get perceived differently.
Because they sound more professional.
They sound like they know what they're talking about. Someone using simpler structures gets asked more clarifying questions.
So mastering advanced grammar actually affects how people perceive your competence.
People who teach English say, read what interests you, but read real writing, not simplified textbooks. Real articles, real papers, real writing.
So if you're interested in business, read actual business articles.
Right. Someone interested in business starts reading quality business journalism. They're not studying grammar, but they're absorbing patterns constantly.
That's learning through context and meaning.
And here's something important. Someone makes a mistake with subjunctive in a presentation. I suggest that he goes to the meeting. Native speakers understand perfectly.
And they don't judge them for trying something advanced?
Not at all. They respect that the person is trying. Most learners don't even attempt advanced structures.
So mistakes with advanced patterns are actually respected.
Dialect differences trip people up. Someone's British English teacher says, the government are considering this. But their American co-worker says, the government is considering this.
And they think one of them is wrong?
Right. Neither is wrong. They're different conventions. Someone learns British, have got, and their American manager keeps correcting them to say just have.
So you pick one for consistency, but understanding both matters. What about the stuff native speakers do in casual speech, like really reduced sentences?
Huge difference. You hear the guy I talk to all the time, but never the guy I talk to him. In formal writing, you avoid the reduction.
So understanding it passively is important even if you don't produce it.
Exactly. Receptive and productive competence are different. Ellipsis is another advanced pattern. I've been to Paris. Jane has too. The verb phrase is implied but not stated.
That's natural in speech. You don't want to repeat the whole thing.
Right? But there are rules about what can be deleted and what can't.
So understanding where deletion happens helps with comprehension.
Fronting or topicalization. Someone says, this problem I've been thinking about constantly. Normal word order would be, I've been thinking about this problem constantly.
That sounds poetic. Do real people actually do that?
More in writing and structured speech. But yes, native speakers do it for effect. It changes the emotional weight.
So the grammar itself is expressing emotion.
Pragmatic markers like, like, they're not just fillers. They have functions. Like softens statements. Native speakers use them strategically.
So you could study them for their function, not dismiss them as bad habits?
Absolutely. Understanding why native speakers use them makes you sound more natural.
That's a completely different approach.
Modal perfects express different levels of certainty. He might have been delayed versus he must have been delayed. One is possibility, one is deduction.
So the modal choice completely changes the meaning?
Right. Native speakers choose them deliberately. Could have, should have, might have. Each communicates something specific.
That's why listening to natives is so valuable.
Appositives show up in formal speech constantly. Dr. Smith, an expert in neuroscience, will be presenting. That appositive gives extra information naturally.
Is that mainly a formal thing?
Both formal speech and writing. And the comma placement matters. It changes whether the information is essential or supplementary.
Punctuation carries grammatical meaning. What about comparatives? Everyone knows those at B2?
You'd think so, but the advanced patterns people miss. The more you practice, the better you sound. That correlative structure is everywhere, but often overlooked.
So, it's about recognizing patterns, not just knowing individual forms?
Exactly. Understanding how structures combine is the B2 to C1 shift.
It's about patterns, not rules.
Discourse markers matter for clarity. Furthermore, we need to address budget issues. Nevertheless, we can still grow. Wrong marker choice and meaning shifts.
So you can't use any connecting word?
Right. Therefore shows result. Nevertheless shows contrast. Using the wrong one changes your meaning entirely.
That's why understanding nuance matters.
If this helped you understand how real English works, subscribe. We break down these patterns every episode.
No lectures, just showing you what native speakers actually do and why.